I cannot believe I'm sat here saying this, but it has been 10 years since the Next Step first aired. Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm doing another video. Now, as you've just heard, today is a very special day because it's been 10 years since Series 1, Episode 1 of the Next Step aired. It originally aired in Canada, and then it obviously came to the UK and aired on BBC iPlayer and CBBC, but it's been 10 years since I think it aired on Family Channel, I think. I'll have to check that, but no. So it's very exciting. This is a massive milestone in the Next Step's history, and today I want to tell you my top 10 moments of the Next Step because, you know, it's been 10 years. So I hope you enjoy and let me know your top 10 moments too. So coming in at number 10 is Michelle's Addicted to You dance. That was such an iconic dance to all of us. It had so many great moments. I especially liked the section where they're all like tutting and doing all the hand movements and all of that. That was a highlight for me. And at the start, you know, we saw that big lift, and I think that was probably one of the first lifts we properly saw at the Next Step in season 1. So it had so many iconic moments, and obviously it included everybody's ideas, which Emily's dance didn't at the time. So personally for me, that was a massive milestone in the Next Step's journey, and that's why it is in my top 10. So coming in at number 9 is Emily's return in season 4. Every time I watch that scene, I always get goosebumps because we see Emily come back in, and she kind of sees Riley on the floor and they have a hug and stuff like that. And for me, I just loved it because it showed that even though Emily and Riley have had time apart, they're still sisters, they're still best friends. And it was just lovely to see Emily back because she was one of the most iconic characters in the earlier seasons. So having her back definitely made the old Next Step come into the new Next Step. Number 8, we have Noah's Empire solo. Now, that was a very emotional dance because this is the first time we saw Noah question his future at the Next Step. He didn't really know whether he wanted to leave or stay, and it was basically a bit of a like, what's going to happen moment. But it was so emotional. We saw so many flashbacks, and it honestly, every time I watch it, it just touches my heart. You get goosebumps. You feel so emotional. You feel so connected to the dance. So that was a big moment for me. I just loved it, and I'm happy also, I'm just going to say this now, Rochelle's Empire solo isn't in my top 10, but it's definitely close. I love that one too. It's just the flashbacks bring such a emotional element, and yeah, Noah's Empire solo was one of the best dances that I've ever seen in the Next Step. Okay, so number 7 is Rochelle's Dance Mania solo. So if you haven't seen season 7 yet, which I'm sure most of you have, the Next Step competed at Dance Mania, which is a reality show in the Next Step's universe. So Rochelle competed as a soloist at Dance Mania, and in the second episode of Dance Mania, she did her solo. Now, I just loved the solo because it showed so many tricks. I mean, Rochelle was like flipping herself everywhere. Oh. Okay. It brought such an exciting element to the dance, and her costume was actually really cool as well. It was gold, and I thought that really reflected her as a person, like she's always shining, etc. And honestly, when I watched that for the first time, I was in awe of it. I was like, how does she do it? Like, Briar is such a fantastic dancer, and that solo really represented that. So that is why it's one of the top dances for me. Number 6 is another emotional one, Rochelle and Noah's Goodbye at Regionals. So in season 6, Rochelle and Noah did the duet, which I think brought them a place in the finals, if I'm not wrong. Yes, it did. It brought them a place in the finals. So they did a dance, and just before they went on, Noah told Rochelle that he might be leaving the Next Step, and that was just really like hard hitting because obviously Rochelle and Noah have been together since the start, and you know, seeing their journey from season 2 to season 6 and then seeing it end was so emotional for me as a viewer. I can remember seeing it for the first time, and it pulls on your heart a bit. It's just so emotional. So I loved that moment. I know it was really sad, but I thought that they got the goodbye they deserved. So yeah, it was just nice looking back on their amazing journey they've had and seeing them dance one last time. So number 5 is a recent one. It is Reality, performed by Ozzy and Rochelle. So Reality is one of my favourite Next Step songs ever. I love the lyrics, I love what it's saying, but the dance that they did at the show just topped it. Honestly, it was so emotional. We saw Rochelle and Ozzy's story develop, and one of the biggest bits of the dance that I love the most is just before it goes into the second verse. I think Rochelle like gets lifted by Ozzy, and it was just like that, wow, we've hit the next level. And so that dance honestly was just amazing. Like, honestly, I have nothing like else to say. It was so good. So it is I was thinking about putting it higher, but when I went back through and thought about it, there have been moments which have topped it, which you're going to know in a minute, but it's one of the highest for me because it just plays with your heart. It's just so beautiful. I've just realised I think I've put like 11 here. Hang on, I need to check this. Okay, so I've done 11, but I think the last two are kind of on the same level, so you're getting 11. So that puts us now, I have counted this so wrong, that is really embarrassing. So next is number 4. Kind of number 5, so it's Michelle's return in TNS 7. So this is when Michelle came back into Studio One after we had the Secret Admirers storyline, and I can remember watching it and I was just so shocked that Michelle came back, because Michelle's one of my favourite characters, and seeing her return was just so good. I was so happy, and it was nice to have Michelle and Emily back, but it was just the way they did it, the music, the shots, stuff like that. It was just like so overwhelming. So that is why that is one of the top ones for me. It was just amazing, and I don't think I've had that feeling with any other moment in the next step. Not that shocking feeling. I've had obviously more emotional feelings towards other things, but that shocked feeling, that's the only time I've ever had it like that. So that is why this one's so high up. So number 3 is Jiley's flying duet at internationals, and if you're a Jiley fan, this dance is so iconic. The song, even though it doesn't have any like singing in it, the emotional side to it is just so there. So obviously we saw James and Riley do their dance, and it was just like so captivating seeing their spins, their lifts, and it really ended Jiley's story well. Obviously it continued in season 4, but for season 3 it rounded off their relationship nicely, and honestly it was just amazing. I know I've said amazing so many times today, but Jiley's duet has a place in my heart. So kind of number 2 is Emily's goodbye in TNS 7. So Emily left at the end of season 7. She went to do a tour with Michelle, and Emily's goodbye speech was so emotional because we saw her kind of say goodbye to the team that she'd made. So she said goodbye to people like Amy, Piper, Rochelle, like people who she's been with for so long, and you know, she's saying how proud she is of them, and that she's can't wait to see what they do next, things like that, and that just touches your heart. So that was a massive moment for me. Seeing Emily cry as well was very rare, so that was a bit of a shock too. That was like when Noah and Rochelle said goodbye. That was one of the top emotional things for me. So the first number 1 is Michelle and Emily's goodbye in TNS 7. So us Michelle and Emily fans, we were all sat on our sofas watching this episode in tears because Michelle and Emily said goodbye, and the bit that touched me was you'll always be my best friend. We've all got best friends. We all know what it feels like to say goodbye to some of our friends, and I think that all touched our hearts so much. And I was just like, I genuinely was in tears watching that. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And honestly, that probably is one of the most emotional moments of the next step for me over all of the seasons. Michelle and Emily's goodbye was so hard hitting, and you know, they had their last hug. Then when Michelle walked off and like left the studio, I was just like, no, come back. And it was just what that did to me. It was like so surprising, because I was like, oh yeah, Michelle, go if you want to, but at the end I was like, no, please stay. So that was a massive moment for me. So finally, my top moment over the past 10 years of the next step is when A Troop performed Future Selves at the show. So I started watching the next step in season 5, and most of those dances were the ones that we had in the old A Troop in season 8. So seeing them perform Future Selves and all leave was probably the most emotional moment for me over the entire 10 years of the next step, because that is the team I grew up with. Even though the OGs were a massive part, that was my team. The Rochelle, Ozzy, Piper, Amy team, that was like my team that had my heart. So seeing them leave was probably the hardest moment for me, because you know, they were my team, like I said, and it was just hard seeing that happen. But the bit that gets me in the dance is when it's like the instrumental bit, and it's like duh duh duh, like that bit, and they're all moving as one, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like this is the last time that they're gonna dance together. And then when they walked off, it had like a graduation feel, like they'd all accomplished their dreams, and it was just so good. I was blown away. My heart was exploding. So that is my top moment. And I would love to hear yours too, because I'm sure we all have very different ones. So I hope you enjoyed my top 10 moments of The Next Step. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you go back and watch season 1, episode 1. I've just watched it because, you know, in anniversary of it, and it is such an iconic episode. Like, we see all of our characters for the first time. I'm actually going to be doing another video to celebrate 10 years of The Next Step. You'll have to wait and see what it is, but I'm very, very excited for it. And I will see you very soon for another video. Bye, guys.